Picture this scenario. You're sitting at your kitchen table on a Sunday evening, coffee getting cold in front of you, staring at your bank account on your phone. You made decent money this month. Actually, you made good money. But somehow, looking at that balance, you're wondering where the hell it all went. You scroll through your transactions looking for the smoking gun. Netflix, $12. Spotify, another 10. That coffee run on Tuesday, $4. But these tiny purchases don't add up to the massive hole in your budget. There's something else going on here. Something that's quietly draining your cash flow every single month, and it's not what you think. My name is Keith, and I spend way too much time analyzing why people who make good money still feel broke at the end of every month. If you've ever wondered how your paycheck can disappear into thin air despite your best efforts to budget and save, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because what I'm about to reveal is going to fundamentally change how you think about where your money really goes. Now, before we dive into what's actually killing your cash flow, let me guess what you're probably thinking right now. You're mentally calculating your subscriptions, right? Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, maybe a gym membership you never use. You're thinking about those daily coffee runs or the food delivery apps that have become way too convenient. Or maybe you're blaming those impulse purchases on Amazon or that shopping habit that somehow justifies itself every time you're stressed. And look, I get it. These are the usual suspects that every financial guru loves to point fingers at. But here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Those aren't the problem. In fact, I've run the numbers on thousands of people's budgets, and the average person spends maybe $200 or $300 per month on all of those obvious lifestyle expenses combined. That's not nothing, but it's also not the financial black hole that's making you feel like you're constantly treading water despite earning a decent living. The real culprit is something much more insidious, much more socially acceptable, and honestly, much more psychologically manipulative. It's an expense category that actually makes you feel responsible and financially smart, while it's quietly destroying your wealth-building potential. So what is this mysterious cash flow killer? Well, it's not mysterious at all once you know where to look. It's hiding in plain sight, disguised as responsible financial planning. People actually defend spending money on this category. They feel good about it. They'll argue with you if you suggest they're overspending here. And that psychological defense mechanism is exactly what makes this expense so dangerous. When people feel good about spending money, they stop questioning whether that spending actually makes sense. Are you ready for this? The number one cash flow killer that nobody talks about is protection spending. But not just any protection spending. I'm talking about fear-based protection spending. The endless parade of warranties, insurance add-ons, service plans, monitoring subscriptions, and security products that prey on your anxiety about things going wrong. This isn't about basic insurance that you actually need. This is about the billions of dollars that companies make every year by selling you peace of mind for problems that will probably never happen. Let me paint you a picture of how this actually works in real life. You walk into Best Buy to purchase a laptop. You've done your research, you know exactly what you want, and you've budgeted $800 for this purchase. But you don't walk out having spent $800. First, there's the extended warranty. The sales associate explains that laptops are complex machines, and if anything goes wrong after the manufacturer's warranty expires, you could be looking at repair costs that exceed the value of the laptop. For just $200, you can protect yourself against that risk. Then there's the accidental damage protection, because what if you spill coffee on it or drop it? That's another $150. And of course, you'll need antivirus software, because cybersecurity is more important than ever. That's $60 per year. Oh, and what about data recovery services? If your hard drive fails, you could lose everything. Better add that protection plan for $70 annually. Suddenly, your $800 laptop purchase has become a $1,400 laptop purchase, and you haven't received any additional functionality. You've just bought a whole lot of what-if protection. And here's the kicker. You walk out of that store feeling responsible and prepared. You've protected yourself against potential disasters. You're being smart with your money, right? Wrong. You've just fallen victim to one of the most profitable sales strategies in retail, and you'll probably never even realize it. But this is just the beginning. Let's talk about the extended warranty industry specifically, because this is where the math gets absolutely ridiculous. Extended warranties are one of the highest margin products that retailers sell. We're talking about profit margins of 50 to 60%. Think about that for a second. If a retailer is making 50% profit on extended warranties, that means for every $100 you spend on warranty coverage, only $50 is actually going toward potential repairs or replacements. The other $50 is pure profit for the company. But it gets worse when you look at the actual failure rates of modern electronics. According to Consumer Reports, the failure rate for laptops within the first 3 years is less than 15%. And of those failures, the majority happen within the first year, when the manufacturer's warranty is still in effect. So you're paying $200 to protect against a risk that has maybe a 5 to 8% chance of actually occurring. And if it does occur, the average repair cost is often less than what you paid for the warranty in the first place. Here's some math that will make your head spin. The average American household spends over $600 per year on extended warranties across all their purchases: phones, appliances, electronics, furniture. $600 annually to protect against problems that statistically probably won't happen. And when those problems do happen, the warranty companies have teams of people whose job it is to find reasons why your specific issue isn't covered under the terms of the protection plan you purchased. Now let's move on to another massive category of protection spending that's quietly draining your cash flow: insurance overselling. And I want to be clear here, basic insurance coverage is absolutely necessary. You need health insurance, car insurance, homeowners or renters insurance. These are legitimate protections against genuine financial risks. But the insurance industry has become incredibly sophisticated at selling you coverage you don't actually need. Let's start with gap insurance on your car loan. If you've ever bought a car from a dealership, you've probably been offered gap insurance. The salesperson explains that if your car gets totaled, regular insurance only covers the current value of the vehicle, but you might still owe more on your loan than the car is worth. Gap insurance covers that difference. Sounds reasonable, right? For most people, gap insurance costs between $400 and $700. But here's what they don't tell you. Gap insurance only benefits you in a very specific scenario where your car gets totaled within the first couple years of ownership and you put little to no money down. If you put 20% down on your car purchase, you'll probably never be upside down on the loan enough for gap insurance to matter. Then there's the whole world of insurance add-ons that agents love to sell. Rental car coverage on your auto policy, even though your credit card probably already provides rental car coverage. Personal property coverage extensions that cost hundreds of dollars annually to protect belongings that aren't actually worth that much. Umbrella policies for people who don't have significant assets to protect. The insurance industry has created a product for every possible anxiety you might have about financial loss, and they're very good at making these products seem essential. I know someone who was paying an extra $300 per year for identity theft protection through their insurance company. $300 annually to protect against identity theft. But when I asked them what specific protections this coverage provided, they couldn't really explain it. Turns out, most of what this policy covered was already available for free through their bank and credit card companies. They were paying $300 per year for peace of mind about a problem that was already largely solved by services they already had access to. But the insurance overselling problem extends far beyond just individual policies. It's about how insurance agents are incentivized to sell you more coverage than you actually need. Insurance agents earn higher commissions on certain types of policies and add-on coverages. They're not necessarily trying to rip you off, but their financial incentives aren't perfectly aligned with your financial interests. When an agent suggests that you should increase your coverage limits or add additional protections, they might genuinely believe they're helping you, but they're also earning more money from that recommendation. The average American household is paying between 15 and 20% more for insurance coverage than they actually need. We're not talking about being uninsured or underinsured. We're talking about paying for coverage levels and add-on protections that exceed any reasonable assessment of risk. If you're paying $2,000 annually for car insurance, you might be able to achieve the same practical level of protection for $1,600 by adjusting your coverage levels and eliminating unnecessary add-ons. Now let's talk about a category of protection spending that's exploded over the last decade: monthly subscription protection services, identity theft monitoring, credit monitoring, dark web monitoring, social security number monitoring. These services prey on people's fears about cybercrime and financial fraud, and they've created a multi-billion-dollar industry built on anxiety. Let me tell you about the credit monitoring subscription trap. Millions of Americans pay between $10 and $30 per month for credit monitoring services. These services promise to alert you if anything suspicious happens with your credit report or if your personal information appears on the dark web. Sounds valuable, right? Except here's what they don't advertise prominently. You can get your credit reports for free directly from the credit bureaus. You can set up fraud alerts for free. You can freeze your credit for free. Most of what these monitoring services provide is either available for free through official channels or provides very little actual protection. But the marketing for these services is incredibly effective. They show you scary statistics about identity theft and financial fraud. They tell stories about people who had their lives ruined because they didn't catch fraudulent activity quickly enough. They make you feel irresponsible and vulnerable if you don't sign up for their protection services. And once you sign up, they make it just annoying enough to cancel that most people keep paying indefinitely, even if they never actually use the service. The average person signed up for credit or identity monitoring services pays about $18 per month. That's over $200 per year to be notified about things that you'd probably notice anyway when you check your bank statements and credit card bills. And if identity theft or fraud does occur, these monitoring services don't actually prevent it or fix it any faster than you could by monitoring your own accounts and responding to suspicious activity yourself. Then there's the whole ecosystem of home protection spending that homeowners get sucked into. Home warranty plans, security system monitoring, maintenance contracts, and service plans that promise to protect your biggest investment. The home warranty industry alone generates over $5 billion in revenue annually by convincing homeowners that they need protection against appliance and system failures. Here's how home warranties actually work, and it's not nearly as protective as the marketing makes it sound. You pay an annual fee, typically between $400 and $800, for coverage that promises to repair or replace major appliances and home systems if they break down. But when something actually breaks, you still have to pay a service call fee, usually between $75 and $125. And the warranty company gets to choose which repair service to send out, and they often use the cheapest contractors available. Many homeowners end up paying for repairs out of pocket anyway because the warranty company either denies the claim, declares the problem isn't covered, or sends out a contractor who can't actually fix the issue. I've seen people pay $600 annually for home warranty coverage, then end up paying another $800 out of pocket for appliance repairs that the warranty company either wouldn't cover or couldn't fix properly. They're essentially paying twice for the same problems while feeling like they're being financially responsible by having coverage. Home security monitoring is another area where people overspend significantly. The average home security monitoring service costs between $30 and $60 per month. That's between $360 and $720 per year to have a third party monitoring your home security system. But here's what's interesting. Most burglaries occur when homeowners aren't home, and the average response time for security company notifications to police is still several minutes at best. The actual crime prevention value of professional monitoring versus self-monitoring through smartphone apps is questionable for most homeowners. Meanwhile, people are paying for security monitoring while neglecting much more cost-effective security improvements like better locks, motion sensor lighting, or visible security cameras. They're spending $700 per year on monitoring while their sliding glass door still has the same lock it came with 20 years ago. Now here's where this protection spending really becomes devastating to your financial future. It's not just about the immediate impact on your monthly cash flow, although that's certainly significant. It's about the opportunity cost of redirecting all this protection money toward actual wealth building. When you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars annually on fear-based protection products, that's money that's not going into emergency funds, retirement accounts, or investment portfolios. Let me run some numbers that will probably make you feel sick. The average American household spends approximately $1,800 per year on unnecessary protection spending. Extended warranties, overinsurance, monitoring subscriptions, home warranties, and various other fear-based products. $1,800 annually, that's $150 per month that's being redirected away from building actual financial security. Now, what if instead of spending that money on protection products, you invested it in a simple index fund earning an average return of 8% annually? After 10 years, you'd have about $26,000. After 20 years, you'd have over $89,000. After 30 years, you'd have over $203,000. This isn't including any additional contributions. This is just the compound growth of the money you're currently spending on protection products that provide minimal actual value. Think about that for a second. The fear-based protection spending that's supposed to provide you with financial security is actually preventing you from building real financial security. You're trading long-term wealth for short-term peace of mind about problems that probably won't occur, and even if they do occur, probably won't cost as much as you've paid to protect against them. But it gets even worse when you consider the psychological impact of protection spending. When people spend heavily on warranties, insurance add-ons, and monitoring services, they often develop a false sense of financial security that actually makes them less careful with money in other areas. They figure they're protected against major disasters, so they don't prioritize building emergency funds or learning about basic financial planning. The protection spending becomes a substitute for actual financial education and wealth building. I know people who pay hundreds of dollars annually for various protection services but have less than $1,000 in emergency savings. They've prioritized protecting against specific, unlikely scenarios while leaving themselves completely vulnerable to the most common financial emergencies like job loss, medical bills, or major car repairs. Their protection spending has actually made them more financially vulnerable, not less. Here's another psychological trap that protection spending creates. Once people start buying warranties and protection plans, they begin to see risk everywhere. The extended warranty on their laptop makes them more anxious about their phone, their car, their appliances. Each protection purchase reinforces the belief that they need more protection. It becomes a cycle where fear-based spending generates more fear, which justifies more protection spending. The protection industry understands this psychology perfectly. They've designed their marketing and sales processes to exploit our natural loss aversion and anxiety about uncertain future events. They present worst-case scenarios as much more likely than they actually are. They make the cost of protection seem small compared to the potential cost of disaster. And they make the decision process time-sensitive so you don't have the opportunity to research whether the protection actually makes financial sense. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about something. I'm not suggesting that you should never buy any protection products or that all insurance is a waste of money. Basic insurance coverage is essential financial protection. An emergency fund is crucial wealth protection. Some extended warranties might make sense in very specific circumstances. The problem is that most people have been sold far more protection than they actually need, and that overselling is quietly destroying their ability to build real wealth. So how do you build genuine financial security without falling into the protection spending trap? It starts with understanding the difference between protection that actually matters and protection that's just expensive peace of mind. Real financial protection comes from emergency funds, appropriate basic insurance coverage, and diversified investments that grow in value over time. These create anti-fragile wealth that actually gets stronger when challenges arise. Here's a framework for making smart protection decisions that I call the Protection Spending Audit. First, list every protection product you're currently paying for. Extended warranties, insurance add-ons, monitoring subscriptions, service plans, everything. Next to each item, write down exactly what risk it's protecting against and how much you're paying annually for that protection. Then research the actual likelihood of that risk occurring and the average cost if it does occur. Finally, compare the annual cost of the protection to the potential financial impact of the risk. For most protection products, you'll discover that you're paying more in annual fees than you would likely spend dealing with the problem if it actually occurred. That's when you know you're buying expensive peace of mind instead of cost-effective protection. The money you save by eliminating unnecessary protection spending should immediately be redirected toward building real financial security through emergency savings and investments. Let me give you some specific examples of how this works. Instead of buying extended warranties on electronics, take that money and put it in a separate savings account dedicated to technology repairs and replacements. Most electronics will never need major repairs, and when they do, you'll have the money set aside to handle it. Instead of paying for credit monitoring services, set up free fraud alerts with the credit bureaus and check your credit reports quarterly through the official free services. Instead of buying gap insurance on your car loan, make a larger down payment or buy a less expensive vehicle so you're never significantly upside down on the loan. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk or live dangerously. The goal is to distinguish between smart, cost-effective protection and expensive, fear-based protection that actually weakens your financial position. When you redirect protection spending toward emergency funds and investments, you create flexible financial resources that can handle a wide variety of challenges, not just the specific scenarios that protection products are designed to address. Emergency funds are better than extended warranties because they can cover any unexpected expense, not just the failure of one specific product. Investment portfolios are better than insurance overcoverage because they grow in value over time instead of just providing protection against specific risks. Diversified financial assets create genuine security because they give you options and flexibility that protection products simply can't match. Real financial security comes from having enough wealth that you can handle unexpected challenges without it derailing your long-term goals. When you have substantial emergency savings, appropriate basic insurance, and growing investment accounts, you don't need to buy peace of mind from companies that profit from your anxiety about uncertain future events. The protection spending audit I described earlier will probably reveal that you're spending significantly more on fear-based protection than you realized. Most people discover they can eliminate 60 to 70% of their current protection spending without actually increasing their financial risk. That money becomes available for building real wealth that provides better protection than any warranty or monitoring service ever could. Here's what I want you to do after watching this video. Go through your bank statements from the last 6 months and identify every protection-related expense. Add up the annual cost of extended warranties, insurance add-ons, monitoring subscriptions, and service plans. Then calculate what that money could become if invested instead of spent on protection products. I guarantee the numbers will surprise you and hopefully motivate you to redirect that money toward building actual financial security. The companies selling protection products want you to stay afraid and keep buying their solutions to problems that might never occur. But real financial confidence comes from having the resources to handle whatever challenges life presents, not from having specific insurance policies for every possible scenario. When you stop buying expensive peace of mind and start building real wealth instead, you'll discover that genuine security feels much better than any protection product ever could provide. And that's the real secret to cash flow that actually builds wealth instead of just disappearing into someone else's profit margins.